follow me down, head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going down. We're going down. We're going down. We're going down. Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It is Friday, TGIF. Am I right? Ooh, man, got something in my throat. Hey, Melissa, how's it going today?
I'm doing good. Hello, everybody. How was your visit with the in-laws?
It was good. It was good. They quite enjoyed their rooms. They were very comfortable. Ian's dad got a really good laugh out of the grandfather clock. He ended up taking the other room. Big surprise. But all in all, it was a good visit, and it's the first time he has been away from home in probably a decade, so he was a little bit anxious about it, but they loved the house and they were very proud of Ian, and it was a nice visit. They left yesterday. When they left, I was absolutely exhausted and I had a ton of work to do, and you know what? I started doing it and my brain shut off. I just said, I'm not doing a single thing. I didn't even empty the dishwasher yesterday, Melissa. It was that kind of a day for me yesterday, but it is what it is. What did you do yesterday? You got to go back to work soon, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I head back to work. This will be my last live for a while, so it's the last time you guys will get to hear me for a good bit. I go back Tuesday. So yesterday I went and had family time. I got to see my aunt, who unfortunately I don't get to see very often. And she's got the beginning of dementia, but it was great to get to go have lunch with her and spend some time with family.
That's good. And that's good. How long do you have to go away to work for this time?
So it'll be at minimum 1 week. And then I'll be home for 24 hours for a doctor's appointment, and then I'll be right back to work. So it'll be a couple of weeks before I'm able to do anything.
Okay. So we're gonna make the most of this live stream. Let's take a minute to say hello to everybody. While I do that, I'm gonna pull up my thumbnail because I noticed No Mercy. Hey Rob, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Rob says they sure do deserve justice. So does Darius. Every child and missing persons matter. Absolutely. But I want to make it perfectly clear for people that don't know, and we will review the details of these particular cases that I want to discuss, and it's gonna in a way come back to what's going on with the Jack and Lily case coverage here and what I've been trying my best to do. But these children, other than Jack and Lily and Darius, yes, they're missing and they matter. Of course they do. Justice always matters for children. But these children were murdered and there were convictions. But both of these monsters on my thumbnail, their convictions have been overturned recently for different reasons. And we're going to look at the Supreme Court decisions, how they came to that conclusion that these two absolute disgraces to the human race are able to get a new trial for murdering these angels. And so, although I agree with you, the reason that Darius was not included on here is because, number one, I haven't been covering it a whole lot to know the ins and outs of what's going on with that case yet. The family is not speaking out to me. And like I said, the Supreme Court decisions, particularly in Gannon's case, resonated with me as far as what's going on in the Jack and Lily case coverage on YouTube and Facebook. So a little bit different, although they absolutely do need justice, but Darius needs to, no different than Jack and Lily, they need to be found, and then we need to get justice served. So, Melissa, are you aware of these cases? And then once you answer that, I'll say my quick hellos.
Yeah, I am. I actually watched the entire trial for both cases, pretty much through tears. And when I heard that Gannon's verdict was overturned for that, I don't have any nice words for her. I was so angry, like I almost threw my phone. I was in tears. I just found out that Harmony's case verdict was overturned as well, and it angers me. And they were preventable. Like, the reasons that they were overturned were preventable, and it just really upsets me that due to not doing your job correctly, you now have to pay for another trial. These aren't, cheap trials. You have experts and everything else that have to come in, and you have to pay for them. And then the taxpayers' money to actually hold the trial. It just really, really angers me that we have to do it all over again.
And the toll it takes on these children's families that love them, that fought for justice, and they went through, maybe not to the extreme of some of the things that we're seeing now, but they go through like the rumor mill and the accusations and people digging into their past and they're airing their dirty laundry out and people assuming things, and they have to go through all of that again. It's like, it's not even opening a new wound, because that is it's minimizing it so offensively, in my opinion. It breaks my heart, particularly with these two. But with that, let's say hello to Grey Wolf. Thank you for being here. And Tam, good to see you. Mattis Catter, and yes, ma'am, thank you for being here. Hey, JJ, Share Cares, and Lynn, awesome. Hey, Belinda Believes. Hope everyone is doing well. Justice for Sweet Lily and Jack. Yeah. Hey, Gren. And Harley is right outside. Thanks for watching from Melissa's channel there, Ben. And who else? Angelina, good to see you. Hey, Sinister. Ernestine. Hello. Bobby Joe. Hey. And Polly G, nice to see you. Chicken Whisperer, welcome in. Hey, Noni. I wonder if she's saying goodbye to her in-laws. That was yesterday. I had, can you see? Not right now, but behind me here, there's a recliner. I bought that for Ian's dad. I fell asleep in it yesterday afternoon. Very comfortable. Who else? Jam to Jam, good to see you. Hey, Gaspigal. Colleen, good to see you. Hey, Nancy Dar. And Root Strength, thank you for that gifted membership. If you got that, please make sure you say thank you to Roots. Nana and Ship Hector. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome in. Thanks for finding us today. Donna, hello from New Brunswick, countryside. Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you're doing well. Hope everything is working out. Colleen, hello. I appreciate that. And I am not even going to sugarcoat it for anybody. I am feeling like death. I cannot sleep, and it's really starting to get to me really badly. Not gonna lie, it's really starting to get to me. But here I'm either going to be sitting in that chair over there and maybe dozing off here and there, being miserable, or I'm going to be here talking to the people that I love talking to. So thank you all for being here and being my distraction right now. So Gypsy Flo, Justice for Jack and Lily. Cindy Sperry, good to see you. Cindy B, as always, thank you for being here. Belinda Believes, hello. Justice for all children. Yeah. Molly, hi Shar, hope you're having a wonderful day. Also, Mr. Harley, I hope he comes in. He's just in a fantastic mood. We had the neighbor dog come up. I had to go down and do some running around, and Ian was telling me that Lucy, her name is Lucy, she came up for a quick visit, but when she came up, she was covered in mud, and I guess Harley took one look at her and disappeared, and he was gone for like 20 minutes. Came back up, Lucy was still here, covered in mud, and now Harley was covered in mud too. He took one look at her and was like, whoa, I forgot about that joy, and he went off and made himself happy. So good for him. Hopefully he makes an appearance. Cheryl, good to see you. It is very hot here today, so the suite next door, because there's no electronics, I think that's what's going on over there, but it's quite a lot cooler over there next door. So he likes to sleep over there. So he's probably napping. Melissa, what do you do for work again? Do you want to answer that?
So my brother owns a company, and I help him out when I can through the summer, whether that be babysitting or anything like that.
Awesome. Excellent. Adam Montgomery should rot in hell. We need t-shirts. Like that man. Let me know in chat if you guys are aware of either of these cases, so I know how much I need to go back and fill you in. But let me just say, both of these people are next level. What they did to these children is, you can't even explain it all on a YouTube live stream. It is so brutal. It is so terrible. And yes, these are the parents. Letitia is Gannon's stepmom, and Adam is Harmony's biological father. And these people brutalize their children. And they've won a new trial on, well, they're calling it structural error. That's what the Supreme Court calls it. That's what the judicial system calls it. But to me, and like Melissa said, preventable.
For me, these two are Satan in the form of male and female on earth. I mean, they are the devil in disguise. And these two babies deserved so much better. And there were so many errors in Gannon's trial. We'll go over that I know of, besides the reason it was overturned.
Yeah. And then if we look at Harmony, like Harmony's mom had substance abuse issues, but she was in counseling, and she was on the road to getting her kids back, and they were in foster care. She had her one son and Harmony, their hearings were in the same day in different courthouses. She couldn't make both. They wouldn't switch Harmony's. So while she was at her son's hearing to get him back, Adam got custody of Harmony without a job, without a place to live, substance abuse and violence in his past. Some judge gave him Harmony.
And don't forget, the mom was actively trying to find the location of Harmony to get her back when this tragedy happened.
And we should say, still to this day, Adam has never said what he did with Harmony's body. His wife at the time got on the stand and explained where her remains are, what happened to them. But he didn't even show up for his own trial, you guys. Didn't even show up for his trial. He had to show up for the sentencing, but he didn't show up for a single day of his trial. I mean, it's heartbreaking. Anyways. Okay. I think I caught everybody. Jessie D. Hello. Summer McLean. So sad. Life is so difficult in these days. I had to put my corgi. Oh, I'm so sorry. Mateo, he loves her, so he cries. He won't eat. Oh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Carrie Bailey, good to see you. Who else? Followed both, you're aware. It's so infuriating and heartbreaking that both of these monsters had their convictions overturned due to mistakes that were preventable. And I'm hoping, not so much for Letitia because I haven't heard anything, but I'm hoping, this, because he was convicted of second-degree murder, I'm hoping that this new trial, I hope that they charge him with first degree. I do. Not that I don't think, I think it's Massachusetts. I don't think that they're a death penalty state, but still. Used to follow Harmony. I'm glad Mom was trying to find her. She still is. Only the Montgomery case, somewhat, but I am not aware of the other one. I am so afraid that this is going to happen with the Jack and Lily case. I am too, at this point, only because of the coverage, the false accusations, the stories that float around, all of the fodder that any defense attorney can pick up and take to trial, or try to. It's a lot. You don't know about these cases. I'll do a quick review. Every day, every single day, let it be known. Heartbreaking. See, Legal. Good to see you. From Berlin. Wow. Okay. Okay. Where should we start? Melissa, actually, come to think of it, do you mind just having a quick look and see if there's something quick on YouTube on the, let's start with Harmony's case, because that Supreme Court decision doesn't really tie into. It would be good to understand. I think Vinnie Politan did like a 14-minute video or something. But listen, okay, so the Supreme Court in that one, here we go. I'll pull it up really quickly just to let you guys know how this happened in Harmony's case. Because it's just bizarre. So basically, if you don't know, which you probably don't, what had happened was, okay, I see that. Thank you, Melissa. What had happened was Adam Montgomery is a piece of shit. Period. The end of story. He was abusive. He was a drug addict. His wife was a drug addict. And they got evicted, I think, from his grandmother's house. And then they were living in a car. And once they started living in a car, Harmony had special needs, and she started having accidents. And so when they were in the car one day, they were going to the methadone clinic, and on the way there, Harmony had an accident in her pants. Adam turned around and beat her about the head for having an accident in the car. She was crying, and every time the light turned red, they'd go to the next light, he would stop the car, and he would beat her about the head until the light turned green, telling her to shut up, stop crying. So eventually, he had punched her so hard, something had happened, and she died. That's the day that she was murdered. Before that, Harmony's uncle went to visit, before they got evicted, went to visit, and Harmony had a black eye. And the uncle asked Harmony, "What did you do? What happened?" And Adam spoke up and said, "She didn't do anything. I bashed her around the house for a bit because she was covering the baby's mouth." I call total bullshit. But both of those charges, so the assault charge that the uncle heard Adam confess to, that was brought into court during the murder trial. The Supreme Court decided that that should have been a different trial. I shit you not. It's right here. It's right here. Let me find it for you. And like I said, this one doesn't really tie back into Jack and Lily, but the next one will. And I will show a video because Vinny does a pretty good job of just kind of summarizing the whole thing, as always. So usually, always when you get a Supreme Court opinion back, they're called opinions, they'll give a case background, okay? So I'll read this one. The defendant's uncle returned home in July from a 3-week trip and saw the victim in the kitchen with a black eye, the victim being Harmony. The uncle asked the victim what she had done, and the defendant, Adam Montgomery, answered, "She didn't do anything. I bashed her around the fucking house." The uncle testified that the defendant said he put the victim in charge to watch her 5-month-old brother. Harmony was 5 years old. Her 5-month-old brother, while the defendant used the bathroom. And then when the defendant returned, he found Harmony with her hands over the baby's mouth, and his lips were supposedly blue. Now, let's think about that for a second. If you're a little girl who gets abused whenever whenever your father thinks that you're not doing what you're told and you get beat, or if you're a little girl in charge of this baby and you're afraid that your father is going to hurt the baby because of how he hurts you, that's probably, if it's true, that's probably why little Harmony was trying to cover the baby's mouth to stop him from crying so that the baby wouldn't get hurt. That caused him to bash her around the house a bit. Anyways, I'm going to go to... So from the methadone clinic, the defendant drove the family to Burger King. While they were driving, the victim was in the backseat crying and making a strange moaning-like noise. The defendant told the victim to shut up, and at each red light at which they stopped, the defendant reached back and repeatedly punched the victim in the head. The defendant stopped hitting the victim when they got to Burger King. With the final punch, he said in a scared voice that he felt something and thought he really hurt her this time. Anyways. And I'm not even going to, you guys can go back. Vinny touches on it a little bit, but I'm not even going to tell you what happened next. But, blah, 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 blah. So because there were motions filed during trial, they're called motions in limine. And those are just appeals within the trial process. They don't have to wait until the trial is over to file an appeal. And this issue was brought up on a motion in limine, that they be severed. Those two charges be severed, different trials. The defendant was tried before a jury in February 2024. In his opening statement, the defendant's counsel told the jury that it can and should find the defendant guilty of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse. He asserted, however, that the defendant committed those crimes to protect Kayla, who was the last person to see the victim alive and know how she died. He contended that the victim did not die during the day on December 7th, but during the previous night while the defendant was running around trying to make make money to get them out of their situation. And Kayla, his wife at the time, was was alone in the car with the children. He told the jury that it would not hear truthful testimony from Kayla, and that the only reason she has to lie and point the finger at Adam is because truth points the finger at her. Severance. The defendant first argues that the trial court erred in denying his request to sever the second-degree assault charge from the other charges. The trial court's decision to join or sever charges is discretionary. We will affirm its ruling unless the decision constitutes an unsustainable exercise of discretion. And then they've got some case law there. To succeed on appeal, the defendant must demonstrate that the ruling was clearly untenable or unreasonable to the prejudice of his case, which they decided that it was. No, they didn't. They overturned the second-degree murder. He's still in jail, but he's still in prison for 40-some years for the other stuff. But he doesn't deserve any hope. He doesn't deserve a win. And it was stupid mistakes. Like, what do you want to say before I play Vinny? What do you want to say, Melissa?
So, yes, there were stupid mistakes done. However, I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I hate doing it. I feel like the judge made the right decision in not severing them. Prior bad acts are sometimes admissible, but also don't sever them. Try them together. Save the county, save the taxpayers, save the state some money. Try everything together. Do it all at once. I agree with the judge's decision. I don't think Harmony should have been overturned. I really don't.
I agree. I mean, but here we are. So let's watch what Vinny had to say. I can't remember. It's not long. Like he was shocked when this happened yesterday. And he jumped right on. Like if you watch this on your big screen, you'll notice like he doesn't have any of his like TV makeup or anything on. Like he is upset like the rest of us were. But Vinny covered this case extensively during the trial. So let's hear what Vinny has to say.
We've got some big breaking news in this special episode of Vinny Politan Investigates involving the case of Harmony Montgomery, who was 5 years old when she was murdered and then disposed of. Her father, Adam Montgomery, was convicted of her murder, but now the appellate court in New Hampshire has overturned that conviction and sent it back. Adam Montgomery's murder conviction for his daughter Harmony has been overturned, and this one's baffling on many different levels. The first level is, if those of you who watched the trial, like Adam Montgomery didn't even show up to the trial. He didn't even show up. He's not out of prison today. He won't get out of prison because some of the other charges were not overturned, and he's also doing decades on weapons charges. So Adam Montgomery's not going anywhere for at least the next 30 years. However, this murder conviction is overturned. And as I read through the opinion, I don't know if I agree with it. But you know, they're the supreme law of the state of New Hampshire, and the justices made their decision. So the decision is the decision. I'm going to go through the decision for you, and there's three parts of this that are really important. First, every decision is based on the facts and the law, And the issue in this case was that he was facing multiple charges for multiple incidents, including the assault of Harmony in July before the murder of Harmony later on in the year. So it's separated by months, but both charges were in the same trial. And the jury said, not the jury, the justices said, no, they should not have been in the same trial. The reasoning that they give, again, I don't agree with it, but I understand their point and the point they're trying to make. So let's talk about, and this is from the actual opinion, what I'm going to read to you. The description of the actual assault of Harmony Montgomery. For those of you who don't know the background, Harmony was this little angel, 5 years old when she was murdered. But she had a mom who had a substance abuse problem, a dad who was in and out of prison all the time, also using and abusing drugs. And there was a custody battle. And the motivation for Adam Montgomery to get custody of his daughter was the government checks that came along with his daughter, who had some special needs. Okay, so keep that in mind. There's a custody battle for this little girl. Mom has multiple children from multiple parents and is in different courtrooms on the same day, misses the hearing, and then the judge in Massachusetts just hands the child over to Adam Montgomery, who had no place for her to stay, had no job. It was a mess. It was a total mistake by the system. It was a mistake by that judge.
I just have to interject here, sir. I'm sorry, but how does any judge in their right mind, and in my opinion only, and I may get some flack for this, and I don't care, the judge who returned Harmony back to Adam has blood on his hands, in my opinion, because you do not say, oh, you're unemployed, you don't have a home, you don't have a way to support yourself, you're on drugs. Here, have a child. Have a 4 to 5 year old child that has special needs. How does a judge do that?
And still sit on the bench. And let's not forget about DCFS in the States. Okay, so they're working with the mother to for unification, right? They're trying to get her to get back with her kids. Why did nobody speak up and help her postpone one or the other hearings? Like, both hearings were at the same time in different courthouses. How is that allowed to happen? And then that fact not even be brought up in the hearing, that the mother's not here because of this? Can we adjourn? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it is just a travesty. This poor little girl was sent out to the wolves by the justice system, by the people that are set to protect them. It's sickening.
It is sickening because there should have been, I don't know how it works in Canada and other countries, but in the United States, when you go to court over your child, you can request a GAL, a guardian ad litem. You can request, a lot of times they will appoint a court visitor, or you have a CPS caseworker. So why were they not given that? Why was somebody not in that courtroom? Your Honor, the mother can't be here because she's in another courtroom today. Can we postpone? Like you said, there should have been somebody there asking for that. Harmony was slipped through the system, and I hate using that word, but she was let down by CPS and the court system. The judge, I hold personally and responsible, but how do you do that? I mean, there's just no cause for it, because when you get your children taken by CPS, you have to jump through hoops. You have to pass drug screens. You have to take parenting classes. You have to do all kinds of things, show that you can support the child, have a stable home, have a job, things of that nature. And none of that was done. In fact, the very opposite of it was done. Nobody spoke out for Harmony's mother. Nobody spoke out for Harmony. And the judge said, oh, you don't have a job. Like I said, he took all the things that he should have had and said, oh, that's okay. It's not okay. But no matter how you look at this, it was not okay what happened. And that set into a course of very sad, very tragic events that happened to this little girl that were completely preventable from the start.
Right. It's beyond heartbreaking and disgusting. Let's continue listening to Vinny for a little bit.
But the only one who pays the price is a little girl. The only one paying the price is this little girl. So she ends up going with her father, who then leaves Massachusetts, immediately goes to New Hampshire. And there's very little oversight in what's happening up there as he has custody, because he's got issues. He's rap sheet that's super long. That doesn't preclude you from being a parent. But he's also abusing drugs and is abusing his daughter. So this is what the court found. The jury could have found the following facts. Again, this is all relevant to the assault. The defendant was the biological father of the victim, Harmony Montgomery. In February of 2019, the victim went to live with the defendant and his wife, Kayla Montgomery, at the defendant's grandmother's home in Manchester. All right. Like I said, he didn't have a place in his own to live. He had to go to his grandmother's home in Manchester. He doesn't work. In July of 2019, when the first charged offense occurred, the victim was 5 years old. The other occupants of the home at the time included the defendant's uncle and the two biological children of the defendant and Kayla. So Adam had two children with his new wife, Kayla, right? And had Harmony from a prior relationship with Crystal Sorey. Crystal Sorey is the mother of Harmony. Both of those children were younger than the victim. The defendant's uncle returned home in July from a 3-week trip and saw the victim in the kitchen with a black eye. That's Harmony, okay? So the defendant, Adam's uncle, sees little Harmony with a black eye. The uncle asked the victim what she had done, and the defendant answered, she didn't do anything. I bashed her around the bleeping house. Okay, at that point, how does he still have custody of this child? Who dropped the ball here? The uncle testified that the defendant said he put the victim in charge to watch her 5-month-old brother. So he put Harmony, 5 years old, in charge to watch her 5-month-old brother, who's her half-brother, while the defendant used the bathroom. And when the defendant returned, he found the victim with her hands over the baby's mouth and his lips were supposedly blue. So he's making an allegation that Harmony was doing harm to her little brother, 5-year-old Harmony, who's asked to watch a baby. And then Adam flips out and assaults his daughter. Okay. So those are the facts that were established at the trial. And these are the facts that the appellate court, the justices here are looking at as they decide the appeal of Adam Montgomery and whether or not he deserves a new trial. So this assault, again, is July of 2019.
Shar, I haven't watched this whole thing. I don't know if you have, but I remember it came out in trial that the uncle had actually reported to CPS. And CPS came to visit and do a check on Harmony. And she was in the back of the vehicle. Adam said, sorry, they're going somewhere. You can't see her. We're leaving. And they left. Multiple times, CPS tried to do a welfare check and was blocked by Adam Montgomery prior to her death.
Yeah, that's right. And hey, Ron, thanks for being here today. At the time of the assault that we're talking about, no, they lived at Adam's grandmother's house. They were evicted from that house and lived in the car after, which Vinny gets to here right away. Go ahead, Melissa.
Now we flash forward to the murder, or at this point now, the alleged murder, because it's been overturned. On December 7th, 2019, right? So July, August, September, October, November, December, right? 5-6 months later. The victim, Harmony, had an accident in the morning, meaning, a young girl who lives in a terrible situation could have nerves and has an accident in the morning. Later that morning, the family drove to a methadone clinic where Kayla and the defendant took turns going inside while the others stayed in the car with the children, right? Because now the state of Massachusetts handed Harmony over to a father who's married to a woman, I don't know if they knew about the marriage, who both have serious drug problems and rap sheets and don't have any money or steady jobs or steady work or a place of their own to live. Okay? That's who the judge in Massachusetts handed Harmony over to without even hearing from the mother, who herself was being treated, had gone away to be treated at an inpatient facility, and then couldn't make it to the courtroom because she had another hearing involving the custody of another child in another courthouse. So you don't cut the mom a break at all because you don't like the mom, right? That's what this, I'm sorry. Let's get back to this case and this appeal. So the court found when the defendant returned to the car, he realized the victim had another accident and started yelling at her and hitting her in the head repeatedly. Okay? They're living in a car at this point. They're literally living in a car, a 5-year-old. No bathroom. Drug addicted stepmom and father who clearly don't have the nurturing abilities to be parents, but grabbed Harmony for the paycheck that came with her. And by the way, after the murder, after she's dead, they continue to get the checks. because no one knows that Harmony is gone. They keep cashing the checks. From the methadone clinic, the defendant drove the family to Burger King. While they were driving, the victim was in the back seat, crying and making a strange moaning-like noise. She's in distress. Do they do anything to help the child who's in distress? Like, oh, you're in a car? Drive to the emergency room. Does not happen. The defendant told the victim to shut up, and at each red light at which they stopped, the defendant reached back and repeatedly punched the victim in the head, leaning over from the driver's seat at the red light, punching Harmony in the head. The defendant stopped hitting the victim when they got to Burger King. With the final punch, he said in a scared voice that he felt something and thought he really hurt her this time. Later that day, so now it's just later in the day, the family's car broke down on a traffic light and they had to abandon it. As the defendant and Kayla were getting the children out of the car, the victim did not respond. And they realized she's dead. Think about that. You're driving around with a dead child in the back. You don't even realize it.
So I have to interject here. Why did the cops who responded to that car accident not notice that there was a lifeless child in the car? Like, I understand. I watched the trial. I get it. I know what they said, but it's inconceivable to me. It just really is.
Their car broke down. It wasn't an accident. It just broke down.
Yes. Sorry, it broke down. But I remember they said in trial it came out that people responded to help them, get their car off the road and stuff like that. How did nobody know? Like, they said in trial that she was under blankets and that's how nobody noticed. But I don't understand. She was failed at so many levels, in my opinion.
Well, pretty quickly after they realized when they were unloading the children from the car that she was not alive, and he gets into it right away, but Adam goes into the trunk and gets a duffel bag. But please continue. I get just, you know what? The story gets worse and worse and worse, and we're not gonna share everything here today. But it keeps getting worse. This man he's beyond a monster.
You don't realize it until your car/mobile home breaks down. As the defendant and Kayla were getting the children out of the car, the victim did not respond. They realized she had died. The defendant got a duffel bag from the trunk, because that's what you do. That's what you do when your child passes away or you think your child is in medical distress. You get a duffel bag, put the victim's body in it, and brought it back to the friend's apartment complex where the defendant put it in a snowbank. He put it in a snowbank. He brought it to the pizzeria where he worked, put it in the freezer. This is all true. This is true. Put it in the drop ceiling when they finally get an apartment until it starts leaking. This is all true until he got rid of the body down the drain pipes after dismembering Harmony, after she had decomposed. This is all true. This is the guy getting a second chance, and this is what it should tell you. Like, the court knows all this. The court knows this. But our system of justice demands everyone gets a fair trial. Everything passes through constitutional scrutiny. And it doesn't matter if you are the worst of the worst like Adam Montgomery, who is. You're going to get the same legal analysis. And that's not why I disagree with the opinion. I don't disagree with the opinion because of who Adam Montgomery is. I disagree with the opinion because of what the ruling is. So let's get to that ruling. And because they're balancing now the assault conviction and the murder conviction. While the jury heard no evidence that Kayla had ever physically assaulted the victim, it heard evidence from multiple witnesses that the defendant physically assaulted the victim in July of 2019. Thus, there was a significant risk that the jury would draw the impermissible inference that because the defendant assaulted the victim before by striking her in the head, he must be the one who fatally assaulted her in December by, again, striking her in the head. And the difference that they're drawing here is that in the assault case, there are witnesses like the uncle. In the murder case, there's only one witness, Kayla, his wife. So having direct evidence, an eyewitness to the murder, right? In this case, the New Hampshire court says, no, that's not enough. That wasn't the reason for this murder conviction. The reason for this murder conviction was not Kayla being an eyewitness to it. It was because the uncle had seen or had heard Adam admit to beating up his daughter months beforehand. And because they were convinced of that, they assumed that he's the one who committed the murder. As opposed to the only evidence from anyone inside that car, which was Kayla Montgomery saying, no, Adam did it. I saw him do it, and described how he did it. Adam didn't testify. He didn't even show up for this trial. He didn't get back in the courtroom until the sentencing. There was an empty chair in the courtroom that was convicted. And he's getting a second chance. I don't believe he deserves a second chance because I believe the jury believed Kayla. Like you have direct evidence. How many times have criminal defense attorneys say there's no direct, this is merely a circumstantial case. There is no evidence. We have direct evidence. An eyewitness said, I saw it. This is what happened. I saw what happened. And the court in New Hampshire is saying, no, we don't think that's why she was found guilty. The other assault really kind of tainted that jury's view of all of this. And therefore, those two cases should have been tried separately. There should have been an assault trial and there should have been a murder trial, but they should not have been tried together. Here's the conclusion. We conclude that under these circumstances, trying the second-degree assault and second-degree murder charges in a single trial jeopardized the defendant's right to a fair trial, right? So they're not even concluding that it actually did, but it could have. It could have. And that's where our law is, and then, courts across the country may rule that way. Judge Politan here, not the real Judge Politan, but this Judge Politan would not have. I would have said there was an eyewitness testimony. There was no evidence to refute that eyewitness testimony. What is the jury supposed to do? An eyewitness testifies, yeah, I saw this guy commit this murder. And there's nothing to refute it. There's no evidence to refute it. No other testimony. Nothing, nada, niente, nothing. But so what happens now? Adam Montgomery still in prison, but he should never, ever, ever, ever have the opportunity to get out. So you're going to retry this case. New Hampshire's going to have to pull up the pants and retry the case. Montgomery likely won't show up again. You'll put in the same evidence. You'll probably be precluded from putting in that July 19th assault evidence, right? That's not going to come in. Maybe arguments 2 and 4 and against, but it's not coming in because that's the reason for the new trial. So it'll be a slightly different trial, but you'll have the same eyewitness, likely the same unrefuted evidence. You'll have all the physical evidence. You'll hear about what he did with the body afterwards, all of that. All of that. So they got to convict him again. They'll have to try him, convict him again, and sentence him one more time. And don't forget, in this case, Harmony Montgomery still has never been found. Adam Montgomery has never given up that information. He was offered a deal here. Give the information, we'll give you 35 years. 35 years, just tell us where Harmony is. Harmony's mom wants to find her. Harmony deserves to rest in peace. Her life was horrific. Her life was horrible. She was never given a chance, yet there are photos of her smiling. And I think about how on earth, where did that come from? How did she find a moment to smile at all? Being dealt the hand that she was dealt. A violent felon father, abusing drugs, a mom who had a drug problem, doing everything she can to fix that drug problem. And when Harmony was murdered, nobody reported her missing. Nobody. Imagine that. 5 years old and gone. No uncle, no aunt, no grandma, no grandpa. No one was saying, where's Harmony? Where's Harmony? Hey, I want to talk to Harmony. She didn't have any of that in her life. Yet she was still able to, in moments, I guess, the mind of a child, the innocence of a child, the joy of a child. And then the only thing that she had, which was potentially, some life after growing up where she could get away from all the horrible things around her, she never got an opportunity to enjoy. We'll stay on the story. If Adam Montgomery gets tried again, we will get our court TV cameras inside there. We'll show you the evidence, and we'll expose the evil that surrounded the life of little Harmony Montgomery. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us for.
So there you have it. Extraordinarily disturbing. And like I said, for me, people like this should not. I hate the idea of them getting even an ounce of hope. They should be locked up and forgotten about and let prison justice deal with them for the rest of their miserable, useless lives. But instead, this man was given a little piece of joy yesterday. Even though he knows he's not leaving, but he's not a convicted murderer anymore. It's heartbreaking. Expose them all. Is it true Jenna Jodry's sister Mandy was nailed for using a stolen credit card last night and also involved in theft of a car? That wasn't on my bingo card. I'm not gonna lie, I have not had my ear to the ground for a few days. I needed to disconnect from all the shit. The mother was there when this happened. No, Adam Montgomery's wife, who is not Harmony's mother. They had split up, so his new wife was there, and she was a drug addict as well. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that she did make a deal. I know that she had to serve some time, but she knew about this for years and didn't say anything. It's awful, and hopefully there is prison justice, but you can't just not apply the law as written, right? The decision was unanimous and higher courts will... Yes, Ron, exactly. And that's my entire point today, and that's what we're going to get down to. It doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't even matter what they think they've proven in court. It matters as far as how the law is written. And if they can find anything to appeal, they can win an appeal on shit like this. To think that he was convicted because the jury just assumed, well, he assaulted her in 2019. Obviously, he's the one that, you know what I'm saying? That's the way the law is interpreted by these Supreme Court justices. And it's sickening.
It's at the discretion of the trial judge whether or not to allow the two charges to be tried together. And that's what gets me. If it's at the discretion of the judge, then it should have been left at just that, the discretion of the judge. And he said, nope, we're doing it together. You know, maybe it was prior bad acts. Maybe it was to save taxpayers' dollars. I don't know. But I find that it's sad that the Supreme Court can say, okay, well, it was at the discretion of the judge, but we're going to overrule what that judge says. It's a very dangerous precedent.
Absolutely. Ritzka, please let us know if you, because we did go over it a few times, but Ron, yes, he gets a new trial. Yeah, I know who Jenna Jodry is, and what you said is completely possible. I just don't have any information. Although Mandy is claiming she was in the wrong place at the wrong time and didn't know the car and dog were stolen. Okay. They are going through all his prison phone calls and talking to inmates in case he confessed. it makes it, if you stop and you think about it, which I hope you don't, but it kind of, it takes your breath away just how much she endured. Harmony's mother she had a substance abuse issue as well. The difference being that she had gone through her counseling and her program, and she was in the unification process. She actually, I'm lying, but her son was adopted by his fosters. And she was looking to get custody of Harmony back.
And it may be a different case. I may be confusing my cases here because I've watched so many of them and followed so many of them. But wasn't the now parents, the couple that adopted the brother, weren't they also trying to get Harmony as well?
I think that was because that was her foster as well for a period of time. And I think that was their goal, to have both children be raised together. But because the judge obviously awarded Adam custody, I mean, they never, it's not that they didn't think about it again, but they didn't have a fight to fight anymore because the biological father got custody of her. So there are plenty of videos on Harmony Montgomery's case that have more to do with like her life and her mother's struggles and the foster system, that you don't have to necessarily hear about what she went through under Adam's abuse. But if you want to know more about Harmony's case, you can go on YouTube or Court TV, or, Law and Crime is another really good one that has a lot of good information that's not all centered around the horrific way she spent her final few months. Because keep in mind, you guys, Harmony didn't survive even a full year after Adam got custody of her. Not a full year. So I have a feeling our higher power has you doing this tonight to get us all ready for Jack and Lily's truths. I sure hope not. I really, really hope not. But I want to, I guess, more so appeal to those of us who are watching and participating in the coverage of this case, that, especially the more higher profile, the people that are constantly coming out with their accusations because they're close to the family and they know things and they're claiming to be witnesses, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm trying to appeal to them to let them know that you could be jeopardizing a successful prosecution with the shit that you're pulling. You gotta knock it off. I know they're not gonna listen to me. Criminality. Thank you for being here. Teresa, criminality. Mods Q, please put her channel in the chat. She did a lot of coverage on Harmony's case, and she did a really great kind of a summary of the entire case, and hopefully my mods will get that channel in the chat. Go check her out, seriously. Thanks for being here. Are you gonna do some coverage on this stuff? Are you? Because holy shit, we're about to move on to Letitia really quickly, because that Supreme Court decision, I think, is more my concern with the Jack and Lily investigation. Kayla's mom had her kids. Did she get them back? I don't know. I'm not sure. I sure hope so, T. Hope so. There it is right there. You guys go sub up and check out her playlist. Like, she's got some stuff on Harmony that you probably good to hear. What are your thoughts, Melissa? What's going on in your head?
So I just want to say, hey T, she does a really good job on everything that she does when she does cases. I really like watching her channel, and she's very hold on. She's very good about sharing information as well, and I really appreciate that. Hopefully she'll do some more lives on this, but harmony needs to be found, just like Jack and Lily need to be found. But it's heartbreaking what's going on, but it also doesn't take much to cause a mistrial or cause something to happen within a trial to let the perpetrator off. I think everybody needs to be extremely careful what they do.
To a point, people are going to speculate all they want, but when you're actually come out, when you're coming out and you're claiming to be who people claim to be, and that you have credible information, and just the way things are going with some people in Jack and Lily's case, it crosses a line. And I agree with you, Teresa. If you're not familiar with Harmony's case, I'm not going to get into the details, but there is literally not a whole lot left to be found. So, yeah. Right. This does not mean, but he's not at this point, technically speaking, legally speaking, he is not a convicted murderer anymore. Like I said, I hope they put him on trial for first-degree murder. Not that New Hampshire is a death penalty state, but it's disgusting. Anita is aligned with a family that has a court history of convictions for SA on minors, so anything she says is garbage. For a lot more reasons than that. Expose them all. I agree with you. All right. Now, anybody familiar with Gannon Stock? Gannon Stock. I'm just trying to, there are so many good videos, but they're all super long. Do you want to have a look and see, Melissa, if you can find anything on Law and Crime? Just on this appeal. Because everything I'm seeing is well over an hour, and I don't want to do that. But I do have a little article I can pull up for now. Oh, just a minute. Baby YouTuber alert, just a sec. Stop sharing. Go pull up my screen. It is Court TV, but it's their website to share an article. Boom. Okay. So who else? I have a documentary on Letitia as well. I might have missed your Letitia Stock, only because I was watching the trial, and I was doing a podcast episode with my daughter on it, so I wasn't watching a whole lot of online live streams about it. Sorry for sidelining your chat, but thought you should know what is going on inland. I'll look into it. Thanks, Expose Them All. I appreciate the heads up. They said, oh, perfect. Thanks, T. I just haven't had my ear to the ground for a couple of days. I checked out. Did you see my comment? I searched for him. I sat through the trial. I sent cookies every week to the prosecution. Oh, did you, Christina? Another heartbreaking trial, and unbelievable information. Unbelievable information. Blew my mind when it came out in trial that she actually paid money for a fake polygraph. And they wouldn't give her this fake polygraph report because of the questions she requested or required on it. But the call was recorded and it was played in court. This is crazy. Signing out here. Okay, we'll see you later. They told on her. They absolutely did. It's probably their policy to report stuff like that. Were you able to find anything? Oh, there we go. Okay, good. So I don't really want to read right now, you guys. And look at that. Court TV does not have an AI reader. So Melissa was good enough to find a video that we can watch for a few moments. How many moments, Melissa? How long is this?
It's like 4 minutes or so, and this is from Denver 7, I believe. I haven't seen it. It just said that in the title, so we'll see what happens. It's 4 minutes.
Okay. Oh, let's go ahead with that then.
Today, Letitia Stalk was sentenced to 2 life sentences without parole for the premeditated murder of her stepson, Gannon.
She got life in prison with no possibility of parole. She got that charge twice.
Stand here today with some of the happiest news that we have waited 3 years for is that he has finally received justice.
For me, it only solidifies the loss. The loss that I'll never get to see my boy again.
Well, today, the stepmother, found guilty of killing 11-year-old Gannon Stalk in 2020, had her murder convictions overturned. The Colorado Court of Appeals found a member of the jury was biased in Letitia Stalk's 2023 trial, and as a result, a retrial has been ordered. The court's decision explains that a juror had a relative who worked in the district attorney's office that prosecuted this case. Now it's up to the DA to try and fight that decision or prepare for a new trial.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon spoke with Gannon's father back when this appeals process all started.
On January 27th of this year,
opens up wounds.
6 years to the day, 11-year-old Gannon Stalk was reported missing by his stepmother, Letitia Stalk. The appeals process in her case began.
The initial hearing on the anniversary of his death, that was pretty difficult.
That's when I spoke with Al Stalk, the boy's father.
I hope they get it right.
In 2023, Gannon's stepmom, Letitia Stalk, was convicted of his murder by a jury. She's currently serving life in prison. But it's one of those jurors at the center of her appeal.
It shakes the framework and the foundation of fundamental fairness that's guaranteed by the Constitution in these cases. And that's why it's reversed, and that's why we'll likely have a new trial.
Attorney Stephen Longo, who's followed this case since the beginning, says he was not surprised by the Colorado Court of Appeals decision, which found one of the jurors who deliberated was biased. During the jury selection process, a prospective juror told the court that his son-in-law worked as a deputy district attorney in the same office as the lead prosecutor on the case. As a result, Letitia Stalk's convictions were reversed or overturned, and a new trial has been ordered.
Why would the DA fight leaving this juror on, knowing it could potentially create a basis for this type of reversal?
We reached out to Letitia Stalk's attorney for an interview, and he gave us a statement saying, in part, common sense tells us that a prospective juror whose son-in-law works for the prosecuting attorney should be disqualified.
So it's tough to blame the prosecution. They made, I think, the argument any of us would make is saying, hey, that person has a right to be on this jury. They don't have any inherent bias that's been exposed. There's just this relationship. And the judge allowed it.
We also asked the district attorney's office about this decision, which they called disappointing. They'll be working with the attorney general's office to secure a review of this case in the Colorado Supreme Court, but say they'll be prepared to present the case to a new jury if necessary.
Go get a new jury and try it again and secure another conviction.
A retrial. That's now a likely reality.
Obviously, I don't want to go through the trial again.
6 years after Gannon Stalk first disappeared.
Even if we have to go do that all over again, I'm as close to 100% confident in the subsequent result as I can be.
With a father who wants to finish this case once and for all. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
In her original trial, Letitia Stalk pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Her team claimed she suffered a psychotic break that led to the boy's death. We'll keep you posted on what happens next in this case on air and online at denver7.com. Collette has been dedicated to covering Gannon's story over the past 6 years, including his parents' push to get the Justice for Gannon Foundation off the ground. They're working to change laws around how missing children alerts are sent out, along with funding the travel and housing for families who find themselves in similar situations as Gannon's family did, and getting a grant to help sponsor kids who want to pursue STEM careers.
Is that it? I think that should be it. So I want to bring this up because this is the Supreme Court. I wonder if Travis would be interested in coming on. Or Teresa's almost a lawyer. She could explain this stuff to us pretty easily. But there's 2 things that I want to read on this entire thing, just so that everybody's aware. And I know it's blurry for you all, but just to give you a tiny little itty-bitty bit of background about how the trial ended. The defendant, Letitia Stock, appeals the judgment of conviction entered after a jury found her guilty of first-degree murder. After deliberation, first-degree murder of a child under 12 by one in a position of trust, stepmother, tampering with a deceased body, tampering with physical evidence, and multiple crime of violence sentence enhancers. Because we conclude that the trial court committed structural error by denying Stock's challenge for cause to a biased juror who deliberated, we reverse the convictions and remand for a new trial. And then I'm going to skip ahead to page 7 because this is what happened at trial, right? This is on the judge, to me. Teresa might disagree, Melissa might disagree, but this is on the judge because this is what happened. The prosecutor in court then made the following comments. Prosecutor, I hate to agree with defense counsel, but the follow-up questions were never asked how that's going to impact his ability to be a fair and impartial juror. And that certainly doesn't rise to a level of statutory cause. We would object to him being released for cause. Then the judge, the court, said, yeah, I'm going to circle back to that one too. Probably what I'm going to do is not excuse juror MB at this point in time and think about it over the weekend and see where we are. I tend to agree that I don't think it's a statutory cause, and I didn't hear anything else about that fact creating an issue or conflict or something else. I don't run across those sets of facts very often, so I just need to think about that one, and it may be that I decide it next week. And then the defense counsel objected. I think the record is what it is, and I guess the only thing I think that there is, a difference between somebody saying I have a son or daughter who works for the police, then I have a son-in-law who works for the DA who is actually trying the case. And so I think that's where it becomes different. Even if it was a different district attorney other than his son-in-law's direct boss who is trying the case, I think it would be different, and I'll leave it on that. And of course he did, because that's structural error, right? But if from my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, he might have thought about it over the weekend, but he never went and read any case law. He never went and read to figure out there was actual structural error to leave that juror on. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts about the biased juror? It's the judge's fault 100%, but still.
So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I agree with you. It is the judge's fault, because what you didn't say in all of that is not only did he allow that juror, but he told the defense, because you get so many strikes on each side, to strike jurors for cause or just to strike them because you don't want them. He told the defense that if they struck this juror, it would be one of their strikes, and it shouldn't have been. And the reason being, I'm sorry, I agree. I don't think that the juror was biased. Okay, I don't. However, you cannot sit there and say, well, the father-in-law's boss is the one prosecuting this case. Okay, he should have been automatically gone. Period. End of story. No strike against anybody else. He should have just been gone. And the judge, who was a hottie in this case and could read me some true crime books and I would buy them, should have come back and said, out of an abundance of caution to protect this trial, we're going to strike this juror. He did not, the judge himself, look out for this trial. He didn't because he didn't strike the juror. He didn't because he told the defense, well, if you strike this juror, it's going to be one of your strikes. All the way around, I agree. The judge definitely caused this, and it was 1000% preventable. But I have lots of other things to say about this case.
So, but correct me if I'm wrong. My memory is a little bit shot, and I do have Teresa's documentary on the case. I'll post it in the chat in just a minute. But correct me if I'm wrong. But did she not plead not guilty by reason of insanity or whatever it's called in Colorado? Wasn't that because she confessed to shooting the boy, or?
So she pled not guilty by reason of mental defect, and she tried to say I have DID, or essentially multiple personalities, right? She claimed that she was 5 or 6 different people. Different psychologists and psychiatrists had done different tests on her. It was found that she was faking or malingering. She didn't have DID, but that's what she tried to claim. This is the same woman who sat there and flipped off family members and other witnesses in this case to the point that the judge stopped the trial and told her, hey, you can't be doing that. She, in my opinion, was trying to fake psycho in court, and that's what that was about. But, I mean, clearly you weren't, because you went through all these tests and everybody came to the same conclusion: you were faking it.
This is the same woman who attacked, she was being transported, and she managed to get her cuffs off enough or to the front of her. I cannot remember. I wish I would have went back and looked, but she attacked the officer sitting next to her in a van, and I believe they were going like 90 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour down a freeway in a van, and she attacked them with a monster, like a drink, a monster can. It's on video, and I did post Teresa's documentary on the case, you guys, to go watch it. But my thing is just the mention of a biased jury. Like, doesn't that make you guys cringe when you think of how small Nova Scotia is? Like, you know, in reality, it's not a big province. How widespread the coverage is of this case, how many people are following it. There are some people that aren't totally aware of everything, I guess. But if there would be an arrest, they would need a jury. Where are they going to get a jury? Where are they going to get, I think 14 they have to pick alternates to? Unbiased people that don't know about what everything is going on out here. Because you know as well as I do, you guys, 90% of the people that watch this case coverage, you've made up your minds what you think. There's very few of us that are still kind of teetering on the fence. So it bothers me that when these things happen and people are allowed to continue talking just the things that are going on in this case, and they're not being shut down, that's why it bothers me. It scares the shit out of me, because not only would it be difficult to seat a jury who is fair and impartial, but to make a conviction stand, let alone be successful. Like, look at all the provable scenarios and theories that people have out there. It just it bothers me. What else do you have on this one, Melissa?
So I just want to make a couple statements. First, I seen somebody ask something about the dad. Let's remember the dad was an active service member and was away at the time that this woman brutally took the life of Gannon. And that wasn't the only thing, in my opinion, that really messed up this trial, because during trial, they accidentally showed on the screen to when it was streaming, they had to go in and redact it later, was the autopsy photos that were leaked. And there was a YouTuber who also put those behind a paywall and leaked them out. But for me, I draw a comparison between Letitia Stock and Malaya, because when they were searching for Gannon, Letitia Stock went on the TV and she wouldn't show her face. They had to film her from the back. And she's like, I just want to prove. And also Daniel, I just want to prove. And I want an apology essentially from everybody for these accusations. When it comes out that I didn't do this, lo and behold, she did do it. And they tracked her vehicle with his body to the spot. But the way that she talked about the way people on social media were reacting to her is a lot like how Malaya and Daniel are also acting. Oh, well, poor us. We just want to set the record straight for social media. We want everybody to stop blaming us. And I found that to be kind of ironic in the two cases.
Yeah, I agree. I think your opinions are prejudiced by the YouTube community. All Nova Scotians know about it, but most don't pay attention to the sideshow madness. Good, Ron. I am very glad to hear it, because the shit gives me anxiety. You know, it really does. When you start to think of, you know, if there's charges and all of the shenanigans that go on, it's like, well, like, if you don't believe me, go check out the Delphi case. Like, the first trial was streamed. Yeah. And I know what you said about the FOIA and the crime scene pictures and everything, Teresa, but there was also, I think she was a YouTuber. I don't want to throw any shade, but she had crime scene pictures, autopsy pictures on her
Patreon.
Yeah. And that made Brian Etten news, right? Like, it was a huge deal, as it should be. But
can I jump in real quick? I want to respond to what Ron said about most Nova Scotians knowing it, but not paying attention to the sideshow of it. I don't know how it is there, but in the U.S., when they're picking a jury, one of the first questions asked, do you know the victim? Do you know the defendant? Do you know anybody in this case? And have you seen any coverage of this case? And a lot of people are going to have to answer yes. Thus comes into whether or not they can be unbiased. So even if they don't pay attention to the YouTube part of it or the shenanigans, as you said, that's going on, that doesn't matter, because they've still heard of it. It could still taint the jury, even if they're not paying attention to the extra stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say that it's okay if you've heard about the case and you've watched the coverage, right? As long as you can reserve judgment and base your opinions and your decisions on the evidence that it's presented at trial only. But what we see on the YouTube streets and on Facebook in this case is just people just don't have that ability to remain open-minded. You know, they don't seem to care too much about evidence in this case. They know what they know, and it's usually based on their own prior experiences or other cases or whatever, and Occam's razor, and I get all that, but there's very, very little talk about, oh, can we just wait and see what comes out at trial, if there is a trial. Like nobody ever says that here.
But my question essentially to Ron is, if people know about this and they're not paying attention to the sideshow stuff of it that he said, are they going to be able to be unbiased? Because it doesn't take much to make a person biased. It still could influence the jury. Like, do you think that you could find an unbiased jury in that area? Honestly, because I don't think you could.
And I mean, you have to rely on people being truthful and honest. I remember in the West Memphis 3 trial, it came out after the fact, like way after the fact, but one of the jurors lied to get on the jury. They knew, or they were completely biased before, but they were there to help sway the jury. They sat up there and lied in order to get on the jury, and they admitted that well after the fact. So you have to rely on people's moral compass, I guess, to be honest, whether or not they can be fair and impartial when listening and deliberating, right? Which I guess it's just my faith in humanity that might be shook now. Very true of any case, absolutely. What else you want? What else you got on this case? I'm gonna pull up Teresa's channel real quick,
I don't
just
really
to
have
show.
much else really to say. I think it's, it's on the judge. This is all on the judge. This juror should have been struck. It shouldn't have counted against either side. The judge, even if he wanted to take it under advisement for the weekend, he should have come back and said, no, I'm not going to allow this juror, to protect the integrity of the case. It's 1,000% on the judge.
So I'm just scrolling to see if either way. So this is the
She
channel.
did great
Go inside.
coverage on Delphi as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, how come I... Right here, what happened to Gannon Stock, a true crime documentary. So I suggest everybody go ahead and watch this, catch yourself up on that. I also want to know if people care to watch these trials with me. Obviously, it'll be separate and apart. Well, I suspect we won't see any of these trials until 2027, maybe, or much later this year, if they're lucky. But it would be separate and apart, obviously, from Jack and Lily coverage. But I'm interested in watching these trials. What about you, Melissa? Is that something you like to do? Watch the trials?
So that was actually what I had intended with my channel, was to watch trials and comment on them. And then I ended up getting involved in the document for Sebastian, and then came Jack and Lily. So I just haven't got around to it. But that is why the name was American Justice, because I didn't, first of all, disclaimer, I didn't realize there was a TV show named that. So sorry. That's why I ended up putting with Melissa. But that was the initial intent I had for my channel, was to kind of go over trials and live stream trials and talk about it and give my opinion on it and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. And another one was Grizzly True Crime. She does a lot of trial coverage, and Defense Diaries also. So those are the ones I kind of go to for my trial coverage.
I agree. Grizzly is awesome.
Yeah. What else do you want to talk about today? That's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to go over today. Just, like, there have been others, obviously, and all children and missing people deserve justice, but let's, find them, or at least find what happened to them. But we're talking about these two cases in particular where they went through the system and they had a full trial, and now they got to do it all over again. And how terribly heartbreaking for the families to have to go through all of that again. I think that's the worst part of it all, to me.
So I have to agree, because both of these were very preventable. And so now you've done put the family through the trauma once of going through these trials, testifying, giving victim impact statements, seeing pictures that are horrific. And now you're going to put that family through that again. It's not just reopening a wound. You're pouring salt in it and you're grinding it in. And it was very preventable from the start. And that is horrific that they have to go through this all over again.
So I'm just like, did you add something else, or is this the same thing? Oh, okay. This, right. I forgot you're doing this. Melissa has a little case that she wants to talk about. I'm going to hand it over to her for a few minutes because I'm not familiar with this one. Go ahead, Melissa.
So a couple of months ago, I shared I did a live and I talked about the Butler kids who were missing out of Indiana. They were missing out of Indianapolis. And this was the flyer that they put out. There wasn't a lot of information to start with. The kids ranged from 1 to 12. And they were supposed to be with their mother. There really wasn't anything to be found for the most part. They said this post was from the Missing People in America. This was the missing people with the flyer. Said missing person information, mother of 7 children, missing since February 23rd from Indianapolis. Michaela Pendley, Indianapolis, last seen February 23rd, 2026, age 29, gave the description, may be accompanied by children aged 1 to 12. And that got me when it said may be accompanied. Because they're like, well, where else would they be? Michaela Penley, 29, and her children, and it lists them, were last seen on February 23rd, 2026, and they were missing from Indianapolis, blah, 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 right? If you have information, call. So on the 9th, they come out and they had found Michaela's body in Mexico. And it said the family of an Indianapolis woman was killed in Mexico. They say the family is saying they got strange phone calls. So I had posted this. This is all on my Facebook for anybody that wants to see it. They said an Indianapolis mother was found brutally murdered in Mexico. Her family identified her as 30-year-old Michaela Penley. Michaela's sister told me she was found naked in a ditch. She had been SA'd and severely beaten. The local prosecutor in Mexico said her death was from blunt force trauma to the head. The discovery of her body set off a desperate search for her 7 children who were supposed to be with her. On Tuesday afternoon, Michaela's sister said authorities in Mexico found the children and have arrested the children's father. We've not been able to confirm the arrest with Mexican authorities. Michaela's sister said she fled to Mexico with her children because she was afraid they would be taken away from her. She and her children were reported missing to the Indianapolis Police Department back in February. The IMPD said Mexican officials found the children and took custody of them, but later returned them to Michaela. Michaela's sister said her nieces and nephews will be returning to Indianapolis along with their mother's body. Still a lot we don't know, but that's what they've gathered so far. That is Michaela. This was the father that was arrested. That was the other missing. That was, of course, him being arrested. And that is the kids. So prosecutors in Mexico have confirmed that they arrested Michaela Pendley's boyfriend, Joseph Butler, for her brutal murder. In a video release, the Mexican prosecutor said Butler was arrested and that they plan to seek the maximum sentence under law, which is 100 years in prison. Michaela's body was discovered on the morning of June 8th in a town in southern Mexico. She was left naked in a ditch after being beaten and SA'd. As we reported earlier, her 7 children were with them, have been found safe, and are in the custody of local authorities as they attempt to reconnect them with family in Indianapolis. The prosecutor said Butler has numerous warrants out for him in the U.S. for crimes of assault, robbery, fraud, illegal possession of firearms, intimidation, offenses related to the production, distribution, and possession of drugs, resisting arrest, possession of marijuana, use of a false identity, and SA. According to a translation of the prosecutor's video, Butler was also wanted on the disappearance of Michaela and her 7 children from Indianapolis. We know that Michaela and the children were reported missing in Indy to the Indianapolis police in February. A family member said Michaela's body with the children are being brought back to Indianapolis. The problem being is now the family is getting strange phone calls. And it says the family of 30-year-old Michaela Penley told 13 News they're trying to figure out who's calling them while they're trying to bring her home. The family of an Indianapolis woman found dead in Mexico told 13 News as they work to bring 30-year-old Michaela Penley home, they've been getting a strange phone call. Penley's family was notified on Tuesday, June 9th, that she had been found dead in Mexico. Penley and her 7 children went missing in February. Apparently in Mexico, they bury you within 24 hours, said Jamie Dowdy, Penley's cousin. They just keep saying, we've got to bury her. We got to bury her. And my cousin's telling them, no, you're not going to bury her. Dowdy isn't sure who exactly the phone call is coming from. They're working with the U.S. Embassy to bring Penley back to Indiana. A representative told the family that the phone call could be a con artist or a scam, which is really sad that people do that, but they do. Dowdy said the family has not been able to see Penley either. Someone from the shelter where she was staying has identified her body. On Tuesday, we were in the process. We were about 10 minutes away from getting video call to identify her, Dowdy said, and they were constantly asking questions. And so basically they turned all of their attention away from identifying her and locating the children's father and the babies. On June 9th, the Attorney General announced that they had arrested the father of Penley's 7 children. He's being investigated for femicide, the gender-motivated killing of women and girls. Prosecutors said they'd been gathering evidence to determine his criminal responsibility, and they'd seek the maximum sentence of 100 years. During a June 8th briefing, they said that Penley's cause of death was traumatic brain injury caused by blunt force trauma. They're probably not going to give us any information more than what we have as her family. What we know she's been through with this man, so I don't think we're really looking for an answer from them as to why he did this. He's a monster. That's why. Penley's family doesn't have a timeline for when she might be returned home. They said they were able to talk to the kids on Wednesday, the 10th, as they work to bring them home as well. So I'm glad that they found the kids alive. I hate that she's no longer with us. But if there's a silver lining in that the 7 children are safe. And it has been said that she was pregnant at the time of her death. So baby number 8 was on the way. I wonder if that was not part of the reason that she was unalived.
Was there a history of abuse by him?
Yes, there's a long history of abuse towards her from him in Indiana here.
That's insanity. Wow. I was just quickly going through and starring just a few comments. If anybody has any questions about this case, please throw them in chat. And for now, when my son was murdered, I hated the fact that we had to go through preliminary trial, then the actual trial. It took 2 years for everything before he was sentenced to prison. Kimberly, devastating. My heart goes out to you. Was told about another case of a guy stalking kids on a res in Shuby today. They arrested him. If you have that information or article, please feel free to send it over. I think you could, because most people set aside any bias and just consider the facts, and that's why they have jury selections, right? But it just, you know this, Ron. I know you do, but it only takes one. Only takes one dishonest juror who has a preconceived bias to lie. It only takes one. And yeah. Like, for example, and I mean, I'm not going to talk about it completely, but I mean, if it were me and I were Daniel going into what he's going into, I would probably opt for a bench trial for this one. But if something were to happen with the Jack and Lily investigation, it's much bigger, much more evidence, much more, like, many more witnesses, and, you know, I probably opt for a jury trial. But it depends on, it would depend on, I think, the discovery and what they're up against, whoever is charged, if somebody is ever charged. Thank you, Belinda Believes and Ben. I didn't notice that stuff. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. And Ben, if you got that, please make sure you say thank you if you haven't already. They're searching for Nancy Guthrie over the border of Arizona and Mexico. Another search takes place on Tuesday. Yes, I heard the killing fields. Commonly, it's an area that the cartel, I guess, uses. We'll leave it at that, but I heard that as well. And then after 30 years, you never get over it. Every day, thank God, I met a man who was a great stepdad to my 2 daughters. He has watched me through all of my bad days and nightmares. My heart goes out to you, and Ron too. You guys, honestly. Did you see any questions for you about this case in the chat, Melissa?
I didn't, but honestly, I wasn't really looking either, to be honest. So, I mean, if you guys have a question, I guess ask it. I mean, that's literally all we know. Like, there's not been a lot of coverage. I have posted some updates on my Facebook, so hopefully justice will get served. But at least the kids were found safe.
Absolutely. Okay, expose them all. I will pull that up. Was it on the RCMP Nova Scotia Facebook page or somewhere else? Is Mark going back? I am not too sure. He was following the David case. I'm not sure. I didn't just check out of Jack and Lily's case. I checked out of the YouTube coverage of most cases for the last few days. I've been watching some really old stuff, and I actually found a new Canadian case very close to where I grew up. I plan on reaching out because I think I might even know him from years ago, but Unmarked. He's got a terrific podcast. He's a documentary filmmaker as well, but he's got a really excellent channel. Very interesting stuff over there. Alex, in the Nancy Guthrie case, so Criminal Network, that YouTube channel, his name is Alex. He was charged, I think, with trespassing, Amy. Did Tint have a jury trial or a bench trial? I heard he was found innocent. He was acquitted. I don't know if it was jury or bench. I'm not sure. Easy to find out, though.
What did Tint get arrested for?
It was a while ago, but he was accused of SA against a child, and he was acquitted. Mark is not sure. JLR said he's not, and if he does, he will stay out of that neighborhood. Yeah, Nanos is putting his foot down. If it is even criminal, we don't know that for sure. Right. It's not even a criminal investigation yet, right? It's still Still very much Missing Persons Act investigation. Mark the Shark. Yeah, he's a good guy. Yes, that's where it is, Shar. Good. Perfect. I will go over and have a look and give the chat over to Melissa for a minute. Oh, the Res put out a warning as well. I'll have a look, Ron. When someone is charged criminal, the lawyer decides for the client which way they will decide for the client, but they will definitely take the client's wishes under advisement. Because again, that's a basis for appeal. What do they call it? I can't remember off the top of my head. But if the lawyer doesn't act in what the accused thinks is in their best interest, that's why am I having a brain fart? This is the most common one. Somebody's probably got it. I can't think of it. What is it, Melissa? Insufficient? No. I can't remember.
Wait, what's the question?
Basis for appeal when their lawyer doesn't do
Ineffective assistance of counsel.
Thank you. That's the one. Very common. But yeah, the client would have the final say. But I think that if a lawyer, felt strongly enough, if they're a good lawyer, they should be able to convince their client what is best for them, or at least prove that they've done their job and due diligence to ensure the client knows the pros and cons of either decision. Resisting arrest and nuisance last night again. Really? Wow. Brave boy, I guess. A lawyer can recommend, but the ultimate decision up to the defendant whether they want a jury or bench trial, right?
And a lot of attorneys will go ahead and appeal for ineffective assistance on counsel on their own. They want their clients to get a new trial, so they're more than happy to say, yep, we did wrong or whatever. Say that. Go ahead. Just to get their client a new trial. So expose the truth. You said, I'm looking, the reason I didn't hear the question is I went to the Nova Scotia RCMP Facebook web, and I'm not seeing it. So I will type that in and see what it says, but I'm not seeing it on the RCMP website.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either. Canadian Gothic. No, that's Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Nova Scotia.
Okay, so
public.
You want
Oh yes, I found it. I found it. Just a minute. I found it. Oof. Oops. Gotta take this down, put that up, make it big, and I will read it. Public advisory. I'm going to call it the Shuby. RCMP detachment officers are aware of reports of a man in a red Hyundai Tucson who has followed and approached youth in the community. On June 12th, today, officers safely arrested a man as part of this investigation. Further information will be shared when available about charges. Investigators believe there may be additional victims or witnesses who have not yet been spoken or who have not yet spoken with police. Support services are available, including through the RCMP Victim Services. Anyone with information is asked to call the Shuby RCMP Detachment 902-758-3388. To remain anonymous, again, contact Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers, crimestoppers.ns.ca, or use the P3 Tips app. In an emergency, call 911. Antigonish Guysborough Street Crime Enforcement Unit seized drugs and firearms, recovered 2 motorcycles. Wow. There was a pretty serious fire in New Glasgow yesterday as well. I mean, if we're looking at it realistically, I think that there is a fair bit of crime that goes on in Nova Scotia. I do.
There is. I found the one, I put it backstage here from the reservation.
You found it? Do you want to put it up?
You have to put it up. So this is from the First Nations Facebook page. It says, community notice, Friday, June 12th, 2026. We are aware of recent concerns about an individual in a red Hyundai Tucson who has been approaching and following the community youth. We are pleased to share that that individual has been arrested. Thank you to everyone for your vigilance, your commitment to looking out for one another, and what keeps our community safe and strong. As always, please report any suspicious activity to local authorities. This was their community notice that they had put out. We are aware of recent concerns about an individual in a red Hyundai Tucson has been approaching and following community youth. Again, what they just said. So that's that.
I want to know I've got, I know that was arson. That's why I brought it up. It's troubling. So I was sent the screenshot text messages from, and I didn't get it from Maggie McDonald or Mandy Jodry, but I do have the conversation. Am I supposed to be sharing that? Like, I don't know. Is that... Oh my God, there is a video of Maya, and I will play it if you guys remind me before we end here. Literally brought tears to my eyes. Happy tears. Happy tears. Not compared to BC. BC, I think, is much larger, and honestly, our RCMP Facebook pages, they don't have as many troubling... I don't follow them all. Granted, I get it. But, yeah. I live in a small Nova Scotia community, and there's been 3 people murdered and 4 arsons in the last weeks or so. Wow. It was a house, Ship Hector. Correct. It was a house. The young couple escaped. Thanks, Ron. The sleepy little bedroom towns in Nova Scotia are no more. Drugs, weapons, assaults, domestic violence, abductions. It's crazy. Wonder if the guy arrested today is the same one caught stalking kids in Pictou Landing, res last July, and also tried to abduct 2 kids in Pictou on School Street recently. But I guess not. He was never found, was he? Good question. The increase of crime is everywhere, and it goes hand in hand with drug addictions as well as tough economy, you're not wrong. Times are tough from coast to coast. Yes, that's the one I'm talking about, the thumb war. And he put on the post it was her first intentional smile, and you watch it over and over again, and about the third time in I had tears. It's just so good to see. So good to see. Anyway, nobody answered me whether or not I'm supposed to show these screenshots or not, so I'm not going to, just because it seems like a possible pending litigation, and I don't want no part in any of it. So let me find Maya for you guys. Go ahead for a couple minutes. I have to go into my chat and find it.
So, Mattis Ketter said crime is on the rise in all our provinces. So far, where I live, we are sheltered compared to the large towns. I've noticed, maybe it's because I've been following Jack and Lily, but I have noticed a lot of posts from that area. And I've never discounted that there's, albeit very small, a chance that the kids were abducted. So we know the name of the guy that stalked the kids on the Pictou landing res. Bridgewater, Nova Scotia had a bad fire a couple days ago. It's being investigated. What's up with you people? No offense, but geez. You guys seem to have a lot of, I don't know, I guess we do too. Maybe we're rubbing off on you guys, sadly. We are not all bad. Well, I know that. I mean, nobody's all bad, but like I said, it may just be because I do a lot of stuff on the Jack and Lily case that I now see it coming through like my news feed. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't before and now it is. Oh, wow. I'm going to butcher that name. In New Brunswick is really bad right now. 59 overdose cases in a day. Wow. The guy from the Pictou Landing res was associated with him. The only reason we are seeing more is because of social media. That's what I mean, I think that, you know, like I said, I think I'm just seeing it more because of the Jack and Lily case from there. Otherwise, I'd be seeing more. I mean, I see lots of crime in the United States too come across my news feed. So I agree. I think you guys probably are a whole lot safer there than you are here. I have to agree. We have a very high crime rate, and it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
Okay. Let's see if I can get this. If the sound doesn't work, don't freak out. He's just saying 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, you got me. Good job. Want to do it again?
I'm going to watch it a few times.
1, 2, 3.
Look at her little face, you guys.
It's like she's looking at him like, why are you letting me win, Dad? I'm glad she's doing better. It gives me high hopes that she's going to recover.
Just that little smile. And he says in the post, I think we just saw one of our first intentional smiles. My beautiful baby girl, there you are. It brings tears to your eyes, and such happy tears, because like Gren said, the doctors wanted to take her off life support. It was so bleak. It was so bleak. And they've been through so much, but look at her. It's unbelievable. And after the information that we went through today, it was such a hard day. The information about Harmony and Gannon. This is a perfect way to end with some happy tears, I think. So good to see. Thank you so much, Ron. She is definitely in there. Look at her, you guys. It's good to see. Never underestimate the human spirit, and so many prayers and so many good-hearted people, and her family is so strong and so hopeful and so supportive. The world needs more of this. And you never give up hope. Even when it seems hopeless, you never ever give up hope. So I feel like this is not overly long live, but I don't want to drag it out too much. I really don't have too much more prepared, but I think this is an excellent note to leave it on. Do you have anything else today, Melissa?
Nope.
Yes, aren't they though, mad as a cat? Or miracles are something to behold. And I believe this is exactly what we're seeing right here. Absolute miracle. And Ben, justice for Harmony and Gannon, absolutely. I'll let you say your goodbyes, and then I'll say my goodbyes, Melissa, and we'll let Maya keep playing until my intro starts.
Goodbye, everybody. And hopefully Gannon and Harmony will have their justice, and hopefully Jack and Lily will too.
They will. They will. We just have to remain hopeful and, look at Maya. If you ever doubt the miracles, just look at her little face. Look at that intentional smile. And have a great night, everybody. I cannot wait to talk to you all again as soon as I can. Don't forget, go sub over to Criminality's channel and watch a documentary on Letitia and Gannon. And I'll see you all back here more than likely tomorrow. Justice is coming for all of these beautiful children, for all of them. Have a great night. Thank you, Ben. Thank you again for the gifted membership. If you did get that from Ben, please make sure you say thank you. Have a terrific Friday. Be safe, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.